Welcome now on the AM News, and as has been mentioned, it's all COVID. 12 months ago, Ghana recorded its first 2 cases of COVID-19. The 2 positive cases were imported, one from Turkey and the other from Norway. Here's Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu providing insight into how Ghana's first 2 COVID-19 cases were recorded.
The Minister of Health has confirmed 2 cases of COVID-19. The cases were confirmed on the 12th of March, that is today, 2020, and the first cases to be reported in Ghana. Laboratory results of the 2 confirmed cases were received at the same time from the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. Both individuals returned to Ghana, one from Norway and the other from Turkey. So these are imported cases of COVID-19. Both patients are currently being kept in isolation and are stable. We have initiated processes for contact tracing. I wish to assure Ghanaians that the government of Ghana, together with all health partners, will continue to work assiduously to ensure the situation is contained. We wish to encourage every Ghanaian to take care of their health and that of their families by adhering to the following precautionary measures: regular and thorough washing of hands with soap under running water and use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Avoid shaking of hands. Keep a distance of at least 2 meters from a person with fever, cough, sneezing, and difficulty in breathing. It is advisable to be physically active, drink plenty of water, eat healthy, avoid stress, and have enough sleep. Stay home if you feel unwell with symptoms of fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing.
Now, this announcement left many distraught and worried. Hand washing with soap, the use of alcohol-based sanitizers, and observing social distancing became the order of the day as Ghanaians lived their lives trying not to catch the virus. By the end of March 2020, Ghana had recorded more than 100 positive cases, forcing President Akufo-Addo to put parts of the country on lockdown.
Even though it may be said that the number of our infections is still relatively low, if we act now, purposefully, we have a chance of preventing an escalation of our numbers. So, effective 1 a.m. on Monday, 30th March, some 48 hours from now, I have imposed, pursuant to the powers granted the President of the Republic under the Imposition of Restrictions Act, 2020 Act 1012, restrictions on movement of persons in the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area, GAMA, which includes Awutu Senya East Municipality, and the Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Area and contiguous districts for a period of 2 weeks, subject to review. It'll give us the opportunity to try to halt the spread of the virus and scale up effectively contact tracing of persons who have come into contact with infected persons, test them for the virus, and if necessary, quarantine and isolate them for treatment should they prove to have the virus. In Greater Accra, the following areas will be affected: Accra Metropolis, Tema Metropolis, Tema West Municipality, Lejokuku Municipality, Crowell Municipality, Adentan Municipality, Ashiamai Municipality, La Nkwantanai Medina Municipality, La Dade Kotokmo Municipality, Okakwe North Municipality, Ablekuma North Municipality, Ablekuma West Municipality, Ablekuma Central Municipality, Ayawaso East Municipality, Ayawaso North Municipality, Ayawaso West Municipality, Ayawaso Central Municipality, Gan West Municipality, Gan North Municipality, Gan Central Municipality, Gan South Municipality, Gan East Municipality, Korle Klote Municipality, Wejagbawe Municipality, Bon Katamanso Municipality, and the Wutusenya East Municipality. In the Greater Kumasi metropolitan area and contiguous districts, the following areas are affected.
Well, 12 months down the line, many things have changed. Ghana now has 86,737 confirmed cases, with 4,782 active cases and 656 deaths per the Ghana Health Service website. Let's bring you some impact stories. Well, as you know, the virus affected everything, crushing economies and crippling the global health sector. Ghana's transport sector was severely hit, with operators in the sector gradually losing their investments. Obantapa Asabwaji visited a transport yard here in Accra.
As the world comes to terms with the coronavirus and its effects on socio-economic activities, businesses continue to find novel ways to stay afloat in order not to shut down. The VIP transport service is one of the many businesses whose wheels came to a screeching halt as a result of the many COVID-19 restrictions. During the lockdown, many of these buses were parked in the terminal for days. General Manager Adakabre Frimpong Manso says the imposition of restrictions caused them to find innovative ways of operating.
First, we made sure that everybody who came to our premises had to wear their nose mask, had to be given the opportunity to wash their hands and then sanitize their hands. And then we also said that without the nose mask, you wouldn't enter the buses. And then VIP also went a step further to import COVID-compliant buses where they would self-disinfect the passengers automatically, and the passenger would have had the opportunity of use of sanitizer whilst on board. VIP also sought the assistance of the Ghana Police, and we were giving some men here who would use the administrative powers given the police to more or less caution people against the misuse or failure to use the nose mask. So that has helped us tremendously to ensure that people at least know that when you get to VIP terminal, you will not get to use any of our facilities without wearing the nose mask.
In spite of the hike in fuel prices and high costs of running and maintaining fleets, the transport operators are forced to maintain the standard price. These days, people do not want to travel a lot using public transport. This has affected revenues.
We had ended up December 2019 with higher numbers, averaging 10,000 passengers in and out of Accra every 24 hours, and had started the first quarter of 2020 strongly. And as we look to consolidate the figures, then we were hit with COVID. That led to about 70% of the numbers going down. There's a steady growth of the numbers, but you can see sluggishness to the extent that there are other factors which are also kicking in, and that is making the business suffer somehow. From the beginning of the year to approaching the end of the first quarter, on average, diesel more than 5 cedis per gallon now, yet we continue to charge the same fare, and drivers also have to make do with other consumables. So it takes a toll on the operations. So that has become a challenge for management and directors of the company.
As part of efforts to minimize the spread of the virus, management has liaised with the Ghana Health Service to vaccinate the employees at the terminal.
Nti Awurade adom na Ghana ban so adwene Ghana man ho akopɛ duro bi ɛbɛbɔ yɛ ho ban. Nti ne twa sɛ mepɛ nya me bambo sɛ be ya enkofa hawo e mama brabo. Nti me bi ho sɛ ɛyɛ.
The terminal is as usual choking with commuters. Many of them are confident that the management of the VIP terminal is ensuring the safety of all stakeholders and strictly enforcing the COVID-19 protocols.
When I entered the station, I saw a lot of people, almost 95 people wearing the maxes. And I think if a person is wearing a max and I'm wearing a max too, it helps to prevent, that's if we cannot abide by the social distance and you are wearing a max and I'm wearing a max, it helps rather than not wearing anything at all. And I can see almost 95% wearing the max, so I think.
Obatampa Asa Abuaji's report for JoyNews.
Children, too, have been worried about having to cope with the COVID-19 restrictions for a whole year. They've been saddened when schools have been shut down because of the coronavirus. When schools were reopened, new rules kicked in and they couldn't shake hands, hug, or even play actively in schools like they used to. In this report, the children tell Judith Awatritando that they wish the virus would just vanish so they can get back to their lives.
Sometimes I feel I want to remove it. It's itching my ears.
7-year-old Taya expressing frustration about the restrictions she's forced to follow as a result of the deadly virus. She's only a child and might not understand why she suddenly has to let go of all the things she loves to do, all in the name of a pandemic. Ideally, children are supposed to be allowed to explore their natural environment, socialize, and play. These activities might sound ordinary, but are in fact crucial to the physical and mental health of children. COVID-19 has stripped these children of such vital activities, even a hug.
It's sad because my closest friend, I can't even touch her again. And it makes me feel very unhappy, because sometimes she is the only one to teach me my homework, for instance, because maybe she lives by my house and she can't even come to my house to teach me my homework. I feel very sad.
I feel strange. Because of COVID-19, so you can't hug your friends.
I feel so sad because sometimes my friend can do something for me and I want to hug the person, but because of the disease, I can't even hug my friend or even give the person a peg.
Initially, kids were forced to keep indoors for months. The rationale was to keep them safe from the virus, but they found it difficult to comprehend.
When I was home, I was very boring. All I could do is just ride my bicycle, and sometimes I just go to church.
I wanted to go to beach, and when I told my father said because of this disease, no. And I also wanted to go to mall. And he said, as for mall, there are many things there. No social distance will be there, so I cannot go. And I was like, I wanted this coronavirus to go.
It doesn't feel comfortable being at home all the day doing nothing, playing around doing nothing, watching TV all the day whilst nothing is interesting on it.
I feel very sad because I wanted to play. And I tried to escape, and then my mother said I should not go out because I can get some of the virus and spread it to them.
It was indeed devastating for many kids as they had to spend their Christmas stuck in the confines of their homes. Although it's expected for kids to wish for gifts such as toys for Christmas, some kids said they only wished to hug their friends again.
I really wish that COVID-19 goes away, so that we stop wearing nose masks and social distancing. We can't even hug our friends anymore.
I wish everybody will be happy and coronavirus will leave this country.
A whopping 12 months have passed and children are back to school. However, they now have to struggle with the new normal. Judith Awatritando, JoyNews.
Well, that is how some children have been reacting to the coronavirus disease. Meanwhile, some children say they are having a hard time adjusting to wearing the face masks for hours to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. And some teachers who understand the frustrations the children have innovatively explored ways of allowing children to socially distance and breathe without masks. They call it short breathing breaks. Judith Awatritando again brings us more.
Never imagined a time when breathing freely will be such a luxury. Well, it is in this time of coronavirus. Here in the youngsters' school, children are given breaks just to breathe. It is called breathing breaks. Children are told to be socially distanced so they can breathe. Wearing of masks is now one of the COVID-19 preventive protocols, but it is not easy for children who are also required to wear masks, especially in schools.
My nose mask, I always feel hot and I cannot even breathe. I'm always stuck at one place and they always send me here. And because of my mask, our teachers also said we shouldn't remove it. So it's always on. So I'm just sweating. I cannot even breathe. And after school, I'm always tired.
Yeah, it's very difficult because sometimes the heat in the mask, it makes some people collapse.
It's very difficult because sometimes I can't breathe properly.
For teachers who cater for children in the lower primary level, it is even more difficult managing them. Lily Mensah is teacher at the youngsters' school.
It hasn't been easy. It's been a very tough situation for us here. Since the pandemic starts, you have to encourage the children to put on their nose masks all the time. Because most of the time, the children will come and they'll be comparing their nose masks with each other. Even with the use of the hand sanitizers. If you are not careful with it, some might end up applying the hand sanitizers all over their face. And that is the worst thing of all, because if it gets in contact with their eyes, you, the teacher, you are in a very big trouble. At the same time, it is going to affect the child forever. So this has been one of the aspects of the sanitizers, which we, the parents, should also take in charge of in their house. Because if you are to give your child a sanitizer and you don't educate him or her on how to use it very well, it will rather pose a problem to you.
Although it's only for a short time, the kids seem very excited about this part of the day.
There are breathing breaks. And when you are in their classroom and they are supposed to answer questions in class, they can bring it down a little bit and answer the question in their classroom. At least that will also enable them to get some fresh air, because it's not easy for them. Likewise, with the teachers teaching, it's very difficult in it when you are speaking for a very long period of time.
It is unsure when this virus would finally disappear, but one thing is for sure, that kids can't wait for that to happen. Judith Awotretando, JoyNews.
Well, it's all about COVID, and that's how we wrap up the news this morning. Coming up next, the news review. Do stay with us. Okie doke.
Welcome again. What?
Your kitty masks. You need to bring me some of them. They look so cute.
Yeah, this one sometimes is too big, Charlie. That's what I feel like. This one I feel is tighter.
Charlie, the bigger, the whatever, the better the protection. Anyway.
I feel the protection this way, yeah.
One of the things I've struggled with in these times of COVID-19, for those of us who rock glasses or don glasses, it's such a pest.
Yeah.
And then your breath will be misting up the lenses, and you'd constantly be, especially you watching me right now, I want to avoid it, you would see me, and you're not even supposed to touch the mask, but
yeah, that's why I drop it most of the, if I can help it, I do away with it.
You drop your glasses. Someone will be listening and thinking you drop your
I drop my mask? No, I can't drop my mask. I mean, I'll be risking my own life and I won't do it. Okay, so welcome to this is 11th of March, and I'm sure some of you may be wondering why the year on COVID reliving and retelling some of the stories we're doing it today. That's because tomorrow is the budget day. We wanted a full day where we could tell these stories and also get you involved as we remind ourselves of where we have come from. Yeah.
We have come far. I mean, there have been high points, low points, but today we go back. And maybe doing this, going back in time, letting people know how far we've come, will also sort of get us appreciating how far we've come, and also not do certain things that can set us back in time in terms of the gains we've made. But let's check out what the papers are saying, some of them also COVID-related stories. I have the Daily Graphic, the Daily Guide, and the Business and Financial Times this morning. What do you have, Mama?
Ghanaian Times, Daily Dispatch, the Daily Guide, and the Daily Statesman. Those are the papers that I have, Ben.
Okay, so I'll start with the Daily Graphic, and a known face, Mr. Samuel Kujato, member of the Council of State, he says, nation building, a shared responsibility. 2021 budget, public wants investment in roads, water, and more. And these are the same things we practically want every year. Problem is getting it to some of these places. Where I live, getting water is not so easy. And it's been same even in the capital for most people. Agric Ministry releases 50 pickups to new regions. Manage citizens' expectations, Kwame Pianim tells government ahead of budget presentation. When you dig a bit further into the Daily Graphic this morning, there's the picture there of James Ibori, who is serving 4 years of his 13-year jail term. It has to do with UK returning $5.8 million of stolen assets to Nigeria. Was it? It wasn't Obasanjo, definitely not. It was Sani Abacha, right? Where supposedly billions had been stashed in foreign accounts, and there were some promises about returning them to Nigeria. This just brings to mind the question of how our leaders siphon resources from here. And when you listen to Techno's song, Rara, my country people, and say, invest in your own country, invest the money, even if you steal them, invest them from here. It sounds bad that you're stealing it, but invest in your own country, then go take Igbo in London. Whenever I listen to that song, it just hits me in a certain raw way about our leaders and how they just exploit us.
If you're arrested in your own country, they will just confiscate everything that you have, isn't it? So that's why they tend to do it elsewhere.
Well, in other news, EU secures 4 million more Pfizer or BioNTech doses. That's for COVID-19. And mind you, this is where we don't want to get to. This is on page 9. Brazil's health system's close to collapse. You know how their president has been lackadaisical in his approach to the coronavirus, he and together with his friend John Donald Trump. But just to take a bit of a short look at it, health systems in most of Brazil's larger cities are close to collapse because of COVID-19 cases. Its leading health institute warns. More than 80% of intensive care unit beds are occupied in the capitals of 25 of Brazil's 27 states. Theo Cruz has said, this is where we don't want to be. Never, 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 never.
Was it him or maybe another country where they had been in denial, the leadership, and they were suddenly accused of taking the vaccine and leaving the rest of the citizens? And then was it the president that said, oh, it was a trial, they had undertaken a trial, it wasn't the real vaccine that they had received?
We're testing on your behalf.
Apparently his ministers and their families had secretly taken the jab, and publicly they're discouraging and communicating a different thing to the citizenry until they discovered that these people are protecting themselves. And
they realized that.
And then they said, oh, it was a trial.
He has infamously, opposed quarantine measures, done a lot of things, even sometimes downplayed the virus. And I remember months back, last year, some of his comments, when they weighed the reaction of the public, it was realized that when he acted in certain ways, it affected public perception, and people also felt, oh, the thing is not. So in a way, I mean, these leaders should be careful because they could be murdering people or it could be manslaughter.
Absolutely.
Your words are causing people to do certain things that result in their deaths.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
On page 10, COVIDnomics 2021 budget statement, and it's all about how COVID has affected our economy. Be stern against fishery lawbreakers, Professor Wisdom Akpalu saying so, and private sector participation in AFTA essential for growth. On the back page, President consoles APAM bereaved families, donates 36,120 cedis for rights, and then Kumasi Central Market traders face ejection. You know something? It appears in this country, just as I wrap on the Daily Graphic, when I read the story about the markets and these people drowning and other things, I say, we seem never to either not learn or make progress in certain ways. have you noticed how we recycle the same issues? The same issues and the roads and the health and every year, and the budget is coming and we're talking about the same things.
Yeah.
When you do that, even as an individual, how do you make progress? You are back to square one every time.
Yeah, that's where we are. Well, we can move on in some ways. So let me do the Ghanaian Times newspaper, front page of the Times. This story that got me totally upset this morning. Check this out. So this is a boyfriend who is alleged to have beaten his girlfriend to death. To death. And this is a level 300 student. The story is right there. It says Akachi North. Why?
300 Umponi.
Yeah, deputy director allegedly beats girlfriend to death. And if you go into the story, they've arrested him. They're still investigating. But this young lady was beaten so badly on Sunday. I think she died on Sunday. But she went to the hospital, I think a day before she died, because she was experiencing chest pains and other pains elsewhere. And so she took herself to the hospital. But also called some friends, including a journalist, and decided to tell them about her ordeal. So apparently she was beaten in December, in February, and this latest one that led to her death. Charlie, why do you tolerate somebody beating you? Like, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. We have to find a way of encouraging ourselves. Don't allow anybody to beat you. See, you are in school. You're a level 300 student.
Right.
Somebody has paid your fees, taken care of you. You have a family. Do you even know the people that grieve when you die? You know, the people
who are affected,
Jesus.
Especially when you are even married or something, the sort of consequences.
Not some boyfriend, not some husband. You know, can you imagine, like, this is your life, or you own yourself. Your life is your life. It's not for your boyfriend or your husband. It is your life. Somebody can't just cut it short like that.
You know?
It's not cool.
I think the other side of this, and both sides have their own weight in terms of relationships, especially, and I'm going to focus on people who are married. Oftentimes, the biblical thing comes in, and you know, you must endure. They tell you for better, for worse, and that you can't just, oh, the person touched you once, and you're jumping ship, and all of that. Whatever happened to long suffering, staying on, give the person a chance, and all of that. So that's the other side from the biblical end of things. I think that is where it becomes a problem. Because then they're gauging patience, submission, wanting the marriage to work from the religious perspective, versus you shouldn't ever lay your hands on me. Why did you even lay your hands on me in the first place? I'm bruised, I'm battered. I saw a photo recently of a woman whose lip, she had a gash on her lip. Her face was all bloodied and all of that. She had been beaten black and blue, circles around her eyes and all of that. You put the two together. I think in the end, you know what? Knowledge is knowing what it is. Wisdom is the application of the knowledge. You need to find the balance and use it. He's beating you all the time. This was what, the third time?
You don't need a pastor to give you directions when you're being beaten. Seriously, do you? It's a personal decision. See, when you're no more, somebody else is coming to raise your children for you. That man is going to continue to live his life. He's going to continue to live it. Yours has been cut short. Imagine if people were depending on you, your family. Can you imagine, like, seriously, you don't have to die and regrets. You've got to live. Live for yourself first. Live for your children. Don't live for the other person. You can endure and make your marriage work, but it didn't include beating. Don't suffer in there.
It's
like for what?
Just,
for love?
It's terrible. And you know something? Even in our law books, there's something that a lot of people don't know. When you do something like this, or you do something that could lead to a person's death, even if the person does not die immediately, there is a year of, there's a rule where a year and a day is considered. And if the person dies within that period, a year and a day after you've committed that, if it goes past that, fine, you will still be held liable. So some people think, oh, you do some of these things, depending on how the law views what you've done. The person may not die immediately, but if they die a year and a day, even that day after you did that thing to the person, without any other extraneous factors, you could be held
But I just
liable.
also want to say something. You see, investigating and finding somebody guilty of an offense is also different. If you endure the beatings and you don't even make any reports, nobody's going to trace it to the person that you live with. So the person might, at the end of the day, even be walking free, and here you are dead. You don't even have a voice. And the people that love you the most will be grieving all the way.
One good thing she did was it the doctor, you said? She
Friends
spoke up.
And a journalist. But you see, that's also different. Now they must investigate. This gentleman whose picture is here is not guilty until he's been found guilty. They are still investigating. It's still, he is alleged to have done something. It doesn't mean that he's done it.
Yeah.
You see? In the meantime, you, the person with the voice, you're gone. You have the clue. You are the person who can lead the police if you want them to do a proper investigation and find the person guilty. You are dead.
Well, our system, though, does support that. Innocence until you're proven guilty.
Yeah, of course.
And at this point, it is only fair and right that we say alleged, because there could be, you see, I always go back.
But that's what,
Audi alteram partem.
No,
we've not heard from
But that's what the Ghanaian type, they've done the proper thing. It's alleged.
Exactly.
The only thing is
I'm
they've got his
also
picture
that
there.
As much as I think it is despicable for anybody to touch, the other party, and in some marriages as well, or some relationships, believe it or not, it is the women who beat up the men.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that is also...
Everything,
so I'm
everything
saying
that happens here could happen there. I am just encouraging people that if you find yourself in something like that, you've got to speak up. And you have to find
I would love to hear from, what's his name? Philip?
I don't want to mention his name.
I would like to
I really don't want to mention his name.
That's why I didn't mention the full.
I think that I agree, you know, if somebody is alleged to have done something, in this case, beating somebody to death, and the person has not been found guilty, I don't think that it's fair that we go publishing his face, his image, because we don't know if he did it or not. Yeah. And if it turns out he didn't do it, would we have another publication with his face and that will say, oh, he's not the person who did it or alleged to have done it. But there are other stories on the front page of the paper, so let's just quickly go into them. 17 million COVID-19 vaccine doses for Ghana by June, the president assures. But if you go to page 3, there are some more crime-related stories. So there's a serial robber in Ho, not just a robber. He will assault you, he will rape you, and then he will rob you. Fortunately, he's been grabbed. Not just grabbed, but he's been sentenced. Initially, he got a sentence of 63 years, but he actually has been convicted in another incident. So now he gets to spend 90 years in prison. By the time he comes out, he'll be 117 years old. His name is Prince Edu. And in one of the incidents, accounted here, he actually raped this lady in a cemetery. Raped, assaulted, raped, and then robbed. So he's going to spend the next 100 and the next 90 years.
He together with a friend, they've been in the papers for some weeks now, and there was an additional sentence that has pushed it to what we currently see.
Okay, there's also another incident of 2 men. If you look at the faces, they are also alleged to have stolen. So they went to a mobile shop just close by, Tiptoe Lane. And 2 of them, one will engage the shopkeeper and try and distract him, whilst the other person would do the stealing. And they were arrested, but the police found out that this is something that they've been doing. So they've been stealing. They're stealing in Kaswa, in Osu, and other places. And they are now in the grips of the police. There's a driver's mate who's also been sentenced to 12 years for escaping from lawful custody. He escaped and he was arrested again. That story is also here in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. I think that will be it, Ben. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll start with this one because it ties into that major story of Philip. That's all I'm going to mention. Businessman caged over wife's death. And we've seen this in the papers for a while. But Mama, I just want to mention this. It skipped my mind to mention it, tied to what the gentleman allegedly has done. I think parents also ought to be very careful the example they set at home. Something I've realized, a lot of people, or men especially, who end up beating their wives, saw their fathers doing something similar. And they felt it was right. Some of them decide, I'll never do this, but instinctively or whatever, they end up doing it. So here's where I would say that parents be very cautious.
Yeah.
The example you set, some parents, they fight, they do all of that, but they refuse to do it in front of the children. So the children never see all those things they do. It's critical.
Yeah.
Don't hit a woman in front of your children, especially your boy children. They might end up copying what you're doing.
Good advice.
Page 6. So that's where the story is. The police at East Legon, and that's not to say you should ever hit your wife, but at least let your fights, your spats not be in front of them. The police at East Legon, Accra have arrested a businessman in connection with the death of his wife. Charles Dejo, Chief Executive Officer of Chadeco Group of Companies Limited, was arrested on Independence Day on March 6 after his father-in-law reported the alleged murder of his daughter to the East Legon police. The 43-year-old woman, Lillian Dejo, according to police initial information, died after reportedly slipping and falling off the stairs at the East Legon home. However, the father of the deceased, according to the police, later accused the suspect of assaulting his daughter, leading to her death. Sad, sad, sad one. Anyway, let's look at other headlines. I lost 5-4. You lost 7-0. Nana taunts NDC. Alote Jacobs quits, and
one breath we say we should move on, in another breath then we keep reminding the loser of what he has lost. What are we communicating?
Ayo, is it Alote or Alote?
Where?
I nearly said something in Ga. that would have been suicidal. Anyway, so he quits the NDC, but I'm asking, what really is the consequence of this?
Well, he says
the man has been sidelined by the party for
he was suspended.
God knows how long.
He was suspended.
He's never played any role for a long time. He's been on different platforms bashing the party. They virtually ignored him, like they've done with Koku as well. So I really don't know. What is the consequence of this action?
Well,
for me, it's none.
He says he does not support the NPP. He's not an NPP person, but he supports the president and the vice president. And he wasn't formally accepted in the NDC. So as he's decided to quit, he does not intend formally informing them. So that's what it is.
Okay. So the self-acclaimed educated fisherman says he is no longer with the party. All right, just a few more and then we get out of here. Tanzania's leader in Kenyan hospital with COVID, President Magufuli, has gone down with COVID. We wish him the very best. And Lula da Silva, or Lula Inácio da Silva, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, I should say, Brazil's ex-president's corruption convictions have been annulled. Maybe finally on page 5, satellite images show Equatorial Guinea destruction, and the official death toll has now reached 105, with at least 600 injured in that country. Police also have stopped some rioting in Kumasi. That's on page 7 on the back page. Kwame Opoku joins USM Alger, and so for a fee of 600,000 euros, but I've also heard alternatively 500,000. But I'm happy for this gentleman. He's going to earn some 15,000 euros every month.
Kwame Opoku?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
did he play in any of our local clubs?
He's an Asante Kotoko striker, and he's made.
Well, no wonder
the club,
you don't know him.
The club, well, if he's going to a club this big and going to earn the kwacha like that, you must know that he's big
from Kotokoto.
in the system.
Which club again? I haven't even heard.
USM Alger.
Really?
Yes, it's a big team in
Is
Algeria.
it?
Yes, it is. In fact, on the continent. You know what? We'll settle this with our sports crew when they come through, and then you see your sports smoothness level. You see it. Anyway, but I'm happy for him, and he's got a car to boot. I think a Benz car. It's
that's good.
Looks like good times for him.
I just wish
the
that
team,
this was a hats. Okay, yeah, the team what?
The team actually encouraged him. They told him this is a good deal, and but of course they are also going to get their cut, so it's good for them on both levels. All right. So that's it. That's it for the back page and sports. Let
me do the Daily Dispatch real quick. On the front page, Apoko Prempeh acknowledges my new task as Energy Minister will not be easy. Victor Newman goes home. The Victor I knew by Benefsin. Benefsin is talking about his friendship with this man who died sometime last year, and says he's known him for about 40 years. He's been a good friend. Baumia on petroleum downstream and after. That's how the front page of the Daily Dispatch looks like today, Ben.
Let's do the Business and Financial Times. That's how I wrap it up. Restore our export licenses or we go through Lomé. I just want to take a bit of that. Fruit exporters have issued an ultimatum to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority for the renewal of their export licenses by March the 31st, 2021 to enable them export their produce to the international market. And the exporters who are members of the Sea Freight Pineapple Exporters of Ghana have said that if the GPHA fails to renew their stevedore and shore handling licenses by March 31, they will be forced to dump their fruit at the port and divert their cargo to the port of Lomé, Togo, for onward shipment to the international market. And just so you get the dynamics, the exporters have bemoaned what they say are unnecessary interference by the GPHA, which have led to additional costs to their operations to the tune of $245,796 and $283,000 in 2019 and 2020, respectively. Of course, if they do the diversion, it also leads to some losses for our country. Economy's formalization will accelerate growth. That's according to the president. Africa must use petroleum sector to fast-track industrialization. After Secretary General saying that. On the back page, government spends 890 million euros on 33 health infrastructure projects. That's it.
Okay.
Papers I have.
All right. We will spend time on myjoyonline.com before we make way for sports here on our show. So very soon we'll go through myjoyonline.com. Ben, are there other stories in the papers that you want to highlight before we do myjoyonline.com?
Maybe manage citizens' expectations. Kwame Pianim saying that veteran economist Kwame Pianim has advised the government to use tomorrow's presentation of the 2021 budget statement to tell Ghanaians the true state of the economy. He explained that if the government did that, it would help manage the expectations of the people about what the state could offer them. Quoting him, Ghanaians need to know that 2021 is going to be a difficult year. The government needs to be candid, that our resources are short, and that there is less it can do in terms of support.
Okay, all right.
That's a summary of it.
Straight away to myjoyonline.com, and you'd find the story there. President-elect Akufo-Addo encouraged me to accept Mahama's Auditor General appointment in 2016. So that's the former Auditor General. He was made to retire. Well, they retired him. The president retired him, if you like, recently. And he went to church.
The same one who encouraged him. But this was actually before Akufo-Addo actually assumed, took over power.
Exactly.
This was before he had taken
This was in
power.
2016, actually. He was president-elect then. And then, of course, we know the circumstances under which Mr. Domolovo was appointed. It was the very latter stages of former President Mahama's presidency. And so he said when he was confused and he was thinking, should I take it or not, he got a call. I think it was Napo initially who called and asked him to hold on for the president-elect, who had assured him, go ahead and accept it. And then he thanked him as well. So he said, for those of you who are wondering why the church service is just Thanksgiving. So he went to church to give thanks, and he had support from some civil society groups as well who went to church with him to thank God. Yeah. In the meantime, some of them also encouraged the Supreme Court to sit on that case that Kweku Azar took to the court, even though some people say that because they have not made a decision on that issue of the leave, some of the matters have become moots. And yeah. Okay, well, other stories on that page. A Japa deal should be considered dead on arrival in Parliament, according to John Jenapo. And here's Harun Idrisu saying that he's disappointed in Akufo-Addo's address to the nation. Plenty of other stories on myjoyonline.com. Please make time and read. We've got some dedications that we want to make before we rise. It's a happy 31st birthday to Belinda Richter of Enterprise Life and her twin, who is our colleague here, Beryl Richter. God bless and favor you greatly. More oil and grace as you continue to impact lives. Also, it's your birthday today. Philip and Vincent Richter. So 4 persons.
Four people born on the same
family celebrating their birthday today. It can only be a blessing.
May your horn of oil never run dry. God richly, richly bless you. Beryl teases me a lot, but she's a lot of fun. Thank you
So Beryl and Belinda, happy 31st. Birthday to you. And our own Nathaniel Atto is his birthday today. So Nat, enjoy your birthday today.
Okay, so that's how we wrap it up. I celebrated my birthday recently, so it's past and gone. When is your birthday? Which month is it? So we start...
I ain't telling. My birthday is in September.
September, Tom. Oh, by June, dear. We'll be back with sports. Do stay.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM Sports with me, Oreko Wampofo, while we do bring you the latest in the world of sports. And in case you've been following the big stories from yesterday, has to do with Paris Saint-Germain and then FC Barcelona. And unfortunately, Barcelona could not stage a comeback, one that a lot of people anticipated, like how they did 3 years ago. And then there was also a case of Liverpool securing qualification against RB Leipzig. We're bringing you highlights of all those games. But let's start off from Ghana, from news that was making rounds, and that has to do with Asante Kotoko striker Kwame Opoku, who will be joining Algerian side USM Algiers. The transfer fee involved in the move, according to Joy Sports checks, is 500,000 euros, of which 20% shall be paid to his former club, Nkranza Warriors, 10% of which would also be paid to the Ghana Football Association, and then 10% to an agent who brokered the deal. There's more in the following report.
Kotoko will reportedly earn 300,000 euros from the transfer of Opoku, who has been their best player this season. The report adds Opoku has agreed to sign a 3-year contract and will receive 15,000 euros per month. Opoku's last game for Kotoko was today's Ghana Premier League outstanding match against Ken Faisal. He joined Kotoko in October 2020 from second-tier side Nkranza Warriors and has been in great scoring form. Opoku is Kotoko's top scorer with 8 goals in 19 games across all competitions. Should the move be successful, Opoku will be the second high-profile player to leave the Ghana Premier League. Daniel Lomote was the first as he secured a lucrative transfer to Algerian top flight AS Sétif in January after scoring 8 goals in the league.
Well, that is certainly a move to keep an eye out on Kwame Opoku. We'll be keeping you up to date on what happens when it's finally confirmed by Asante Kotoko. Now, the more others leave, the more others come in. And that's Abusia Drafts. They have confirmed the signing of Japanese striker Jindo Morishita. Now, the 25-year-old will play for Draft until the end of the current season. Morishita has been giving us his profile and what his life has been about and how he ended up in Ghana.
Hello to my new friends and families in Ghana. My name is Jindo Morishita. I'm a 25 years old Japanese striker. Just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I was born in Japan, raised in the Netherlands, in Europe, which I started playing soccer there. I spent a year in Indonesia playing football during my high school days. Then after that, I enrolled in the University of Tsukuba, which had the best soccer team among the Japanese universities. I played there for 4 years, and after that, I traveled to Zambia and started my professional career as a footballer in FC Musa. Back then, they played in the Zambian Super League. Because of COVID, I had to go back, but now I am in Ghana, back in the African continent, and I'm very much excited to play in one of the best leagues in Africa. I was very happy to hear that the Ghanaian under-20 national team won the African tournament. And I'm really much excited to play football with these talented players to challenge myself here. I can't wait to expose myself in front of you all, and I hope that I could pick up more fancy. Now I can speak in Kakra, but yeah, I'll try to keep up. All right, merasi papa, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.
That was new Abusia Draft signing Jindo Morishita trying his hand on Fanti at the end there. But yeah, he's joined the Busia Dwarfs and would be ready and, you know, ready to kick about in the second round of the Ghana Premier League. Well, let's still stay in Ghana, where President Anado has charged the Ghana Football Association to ensure the success chalked by the Black Satellites at the Under-20 AFCON is not a one-off. Now, the first gentleman of the land who received the AFCON Under-20 trophy at the seat of the government, the Jubilee House, also admonished the players to take their careers seriously.
The national Under-20 team paid a courtesy call on the president of the country, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to present the trophy they won in Mauritania. The success was the first time Ghana has won the competition in 12 years. The last time the country did was in 2009 in Rwanda. The president of the country said he is committed to providing all the necessary support for the game in the country.
It's obvious what my responsibility is. And that is to give sports in our country, especially football, the maximum support of the government. And we're going to try and do that. We're going to do our best to do that. Because without the support, it's difficult to go forward in any endeavor in life, especially in sports. We've seen what the modest support that was given to you, how it has played itself out. So that's my responsibility. And I want to assure you that I'm going to do my very best to discharge that responsibility as effectively as possible. Big achievement. And it's the first of what I hope is going to be many, many, many cups for us. I want all of you to be very proud of playing for Ghana and to be prepared to step up anytime you're selected to play for Ghana. And more importantly, to prepare yourselves to be part of the Black Stars down the road.
It's been 37 years since the Black Stars last won a trophy. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said this current crop of Black Satellites players is the nucleus of the next generation of the senior national team.
It's time that the Black Stars won the African Championship again. Long overdue. And you have the nucleus. We've proved that you have the nucleus of the side that can do it. So the whole world will be looking at you from now on. So in terms of training and discipline and making sure that you keep fit, please, don't let this one first success go to your head. You have to stay firmly committed to all the things that your trainers and the fitness and the technical team tell you. The discipline especially is so very important. It's the discipline that will keep you out of injury, which I know as a footballer is the biggest problem confronting every footballer. But with discipline and the determination that you've shown in winning this cup.
The Satellites in December 2020 became champions of Wafu Zone B when they defeated Burkina Faso in the final last year.
Meanwhile, Keto Kreku, who is the president of the Ghana Football Association, said Ghana football has the potential to be great with the right support.
President of the Ghana Football Association, Ket Okreku, called on the government of the country to throw their weight behind football to ensure continued success.
Ghana football has a lot of potential. Indeed, the investment levels that this team has seen has resulted in the victory that we are all cherishing and celebrating today. But it is also true that if association football gets absolute and maximum support, not only from government, but also from the public sector, football can take Ghana into millions of homes. Football, perhaps, can also assist us in our hospitality, in our tourism strategy. Football, perhaps, is the most powerful tool that touches every heart in the world. Football brings everybody together. And it's our hope that your avowed mission of ensuring that all our national team coaches are paid monthly will see the light of the day. Our coaches are ready to go the extra mile to bring glory. Our players are ready. The management is ready.
Kurt Okreku is confident that winning the Under-20 African Cup of Nations is not going to be a one-off. He said with continued support from the government of the country, the GFA will put Ghana football at the highest pedestal.
Mr. President, I remember very well one important question that you posed to me. And your question was very simple. When would we start to bring back the trophies to Ghana? When would we start to love our sport called football once again? Mr. President, our appearance here is to give you a small taste of what the future holds for Ghana football. And our belief is that with the right level of support, just like we received on the journey to Benin and to Mauritius, this will just be the tip of the iceberg. And Ghana will bring back the love, Ghana will win more trophies, and Ghana will be at the apex of not only African football, but world football.
The Black Satellites of Ghana won the Under-20 African Cup of Nations Championship after beating Uganda 2-0 in the final.
But my time here is up. My name is Oreko Wampofo, and the AM show continues right after this.
A warm welcome back on the AM show. And as we've intimated to you, today our focus is COVID, a year on. You can actually also share your thoughts with us on social media. A year of COVID. Do share your thoughts with us. But right now, it's an interaction I have had with the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje. If you've been wondering, I've heard talk about the 600,000 AstraZeneca doses we've had, amounting to 6 million because each was worth 10 doses. That actually, well, you'll be getting the answers from Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje. He also talks about how it has impacted healthcare professionals, what the real statistics are. Just stay with us as we have this interaction. That's up next on the AM show.
Wave in June, July, August, where we had a massive wave with a large number of cases across the country, mainly in Accra and Kumasi. We came down around about December. November, we have a little hump, which is common for all pandemics. And then in December, end of December, we had a second wave, which we are currently is slowly easing out of. And so that has been the case. There's been a lot of activities in between, and our ability to, our attempt to respond, both from the side of the government, from the side of the people, and other partners to ensure that we are able to weather the storm by preventing importation of the cases, making sure that we are able to test, treat, and contain. We're also making sure that we have domestic capacity to respond to the pandemic, because you realize that all your needs, every country in the world needed some, and so people have to look within to see how do we also find our PPEs, etc., to be able to show up the storm. So that has been our trajectory, and of course trying to mitigate the impact of the pandemic, which is the economic impact, social impact, and we have to respond to all of that.
From the standpoint of the Ghana Health Service, what would you say led to this second wave in December that you spoke of? What was it that we did wrong?
Well, I wouldn't say it is something what we did wrong, but it was something that was probably predicted in the sense that these cases were imported, and we also knew that around Christmas there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of movement, both within country and our own compatriots who are coming back and visitors coming back. And so there were different strains, new strains, variants outside of Ghana. And it came in, and the cases blew up because we had a very long Christmas from Monday, or there was a Monday or so, so it was almost 4 days of celebrations, close contacts, etc. And that led to where we got to.
So some sloppiness on our part. We let our guard down for a bit because there had been the political campaign season and all the politicians from different angles had been involved in different ways. The Christmas, then of course the declaration of the electoral results and all of that leading into the coming year. So,
but one thing that I keep mentioning is that, you see, this is a disease that has a very definite timeline, usually 2 weeks. If I come in contact with you within 2 weeks, if I don't get it, then it means that I was really not infected. You may prolong if you get it and you fall sick and you continue. But even they may even get negative whilst the disease continue to. So we really have continued to explain to people that, interestingly, the campaign did not show any evidence of increasing coverage, because it was done all over the country. And until the Christmas hike, we had an active case of about 300. And so,
but right after Christmas, we saw the numbers surge again, go up into the thousands.
Well, we have finished elections. We had actually followed up post-election up to the 20th of December. Still, everything was quiet until about 30th of December, when the Christmas festivities are taking place. And of course, some of the initial, even the cases of mass protests, etc., in small places, still did not show anything. Because we are giving ourselves up to about the 20th to 22nd. And so one can assume that that was not the trigger. But then once what we predicted that in Christmas, people are going to move all over the country into Accra to buy and go back and sell. We're going to have people who are coming in from abroad, UK, family, friends, members, US, etc., all coming home for Christmas. And it happened. And you saw that the number of cases that were picked at the airport went up very, very high. It was virtually 4 times what we had in, say, November. And so these were all the triggers, and coupled with the fact that we also had the UK strain, which subsequently we found that they had brought into the country, which spread faster, is more virulent, and that's what we have.
Now, here's something that just came to mind, and I want to run it by you. I have had COVID and recovered from it earlier this year. Have you had that unpleasant experience? What was it like, if you do care to share?
I have not. Even I've tested several times. Fortunately for me, I have not had COVID.
Lucky you.
Well, I think there may be some element of luck, but I think my adherence to the protocols, I believe, has been very good. My office people will tell you that I rarely take off my mask. Even when I'm eating, they will tell you that
you keep your mask on?
No, in between. I'm drinking a cup of tea. When I sip, I put it back on.
Right.
You know, so, and I think that has also been very helpful, because unfortunately, I've also been around many people in meetings where there's been an outbreak. But in all that, I've been lucky. But I've seen many people suffer because of my position, so I know exactly.
Yes. I was asking it from that standpoint, actually, because if you've suffered it, if you know what it's like, how uncomfortable it is, and even when you're going through things and wondering whether you're going to make it, your appreciation of the matter tends to change.
Different. Yes,
so
yes.
That was the standpoint.
But I've been lucky. But I've had my colleagues who have had it.
What would you say has been the impact of COVID-19 on the health sector in Ghana?
Yeah, thank you very much. Once you have such a big pandemic, there's a tendency to abandon other things and focus on the immediate threat, which is the pandemic. It initially, in the first 2 quarters, affected significantly a lot of the public health services. People were afraid to go to hospitals, and so outpatients attendance also dropped. But fortunately, we had anticipated that we were going to have that. And so the first thing we did was, in March, develop some a protocol to look at how we keep essential services going, especially in the areas of maternal and child health, which are areas of core importance, and we cannot joke with it. And so, but it still had an effect in some regions, but eventually there was some recovery, but there was some reduction in outpatient attendance. It was quite low. People were not utilizing the services. There was also a reduction in some form of EPI coverages. In some regions declined because these are areas who move into people's home or mass in a group, like the child welfare clinics, which is more of a gathering, which we stopped. And so we're not able to do much. But towards the last two quarters, we were able to catch up. The other impact was that the protocols had also led to a situation where personal hygiene had improved. And some of the core areas of diarrhea in children was reduced by about 30%. And all the diarrhea disease in the country also significantly came down. So those were some of this was more of a positive effect of that. And we believe that these are practices that we need to really continue to keep up.
Let's talk about the hands-on effect of COVID-19. And again, the focus is the health sector. We've had some health professionals going down with the virus.
Yes.
And just a few weeks ago in Ketu South, there were about 15 people in one of their hospitals who had actually supposedly contracted the virus. In that same facility, there was talk of a nurse who got it, took it home, and both she and her husband, unfortunately did not make it. So what is the reality in the Ashanti region as well? We've heard of complaints from the Medical Association about members going down. What is the reality? What is the true picture? What are the numbers you can share when it comes to how it has impacted the health sector or health professionals?
In terms of the number of people who were officially reported positive, we are doing nearly 4,000 and counting. We had lost about 14 people that we know, but we know that the number in this year has also gone up slightly. And so it's been a major challenge for us. We have had to close a few hospitals a few times because there was an outbreak in those facilities. And that's how we've had to deal with it. But by and large, it was quite high in the early stages of the disease because adherence was a problem, appropriate use of PPEs and availability of PPEs in the initial phase was a challenge. But we have subsequently, the rate of infection among the health workers has come down. But occasionally we have some outbreak like what happened in Sablogo Hospital, which sometimes when you have a major outbreak like that, it's usually a failure, a systematic failure of a protocol. That's how we have so many people get it. So once we get it fixed, you see some stability. And we continue engaging our facilities to make sure they use their PPEs and use it all the time and not assume that my colleague health worker is safe, but it's the patient who is carrying. But it's both ways. And so that's how we have approached it. And we've also had to do a lot of studies, a lot of training, a lot of orientation to ensure that people appreciate how it's done, how we contract it, and how we can prevent it. Also ensure that we don't also bring it from our house into the facility.
Now, these frontline workers, the medical staff, they've also been incentivized in certain ways. Are those incentives, the insurance packages, the bonuses, are they still getting them?
There was an insurance package for those who contract, and I think that is currently being worked on and people are being paid. We also had a free...
So they're still receiving it?
Yeah, they're still receiving. There was tax incentive. There was a 50% bonus that health workers, frontline health workers were getting, which is being paid. The difficulty with the 50% is that it is not the same person for the last 6 months. It changes. And so the paperwork...
So the people, the beneficiaries keep changing?
Yeah, keep changing. So the paperwork is quite a bit laborious, and so it's a bit slow in catching up with everybody. So you can have somebody in Kintampo last month, he was there, he is no more there, someone else takes over, and so you need to continue updating the data and work. So that's how.
What makes someone a key frontline worker who will benefit from this? And maybe you could add about how many people are we looking at, even among the healthcare professionals?
I will not be able to
at any point in time.
Well, you see, it depends on the total number of. Let me give you what is a frontline worker. Somebody who is likely to come, who has a higher propensity to come close to the virus. Someone who works on the virus. And so you have people who are doing triaging at the outpatients, and the other one who are screening people to see who can go here, who cannot go here. They are anticipated to be exposed at a higher risk. We also have people who are assigned to take care of people who are actually positive in the treatment centers, in the ICUs, among others. Okay. We also have contact tracers who go home to follow contacts of people who have been exposed. So those are what we classify, and of course those who are in the labs who are actually doing the tests. And so those who have the higher propensity to come close to the virus and those who are actually working on the virus are the ones we classify as frontline.
Okay. This bit about contact tracing that you mentioned, it appears to have slowed down. Why?
It hasn't. It hasn't slowed down. You see, contact tracing is you follow contacts of those who are positive. So if you have 10 cases today, and we used to have an average of about 11 contacts per case, if you look at the data across the period that we've had. And so we are looking at probably times 10. And so it's not the same as if you have 100 cases.
Okay.
Then your contacts will be high. Okay, and so when you look at it, if you looked at when we started having this second wave, and we're reporting about 800 or so cases, you saw the number of contacts, the number of tests that were being done went very high. And so that's how it works. Sometimes people confuse the testing that was done during the lockdown. That was what we created as a country called enhanced contact tracing. We wanted to study how far is the virus, and so if we get to a town, we may decide that let's do a perimeter of about half a kilometer around this place where there was a case to see whether there's anything there. That's not contact tracing. That was just community surveillance to see are there anything there. And so you're going to see a large number of cases, tests being done. And I believe we did more than 50,000 in a very short time. We also are doing enhanced contact tracing, where we were doing even any contacts at all. You see, so those were the cases that was happening. And we were doing a lot of sweeping, and we were also doing risk assessment. So we wanted to check how risky is the market. So we come to the market and test a few people at random to see whether we have cases there. You go to trotro drivers and see let's see how risky is it. So we test them. And those are the reasons why we could say that maybe the market is not as risky as we anticipate. And we later learned that because of the ventilation, because of the openness, the transmission is much, much lower. So at that time, we did all that to study Ghana's situation, study the virus for our response. And so subsequently, we are doing the appropriate contact tracing, where we are looking at contacts and following their cases and following their contacts. And testing their contacts, actually.
Now, speaking of our peculiar situation, you would notice that, and of course you would know, our numbers are beginning to drop in terms of the cases we are seeing. What do you think accounts for that? Because on the back of some of what you've been saying, I remember just a few weeks ago you were talking about the fact that mask wearing protocols were not being adhered to, even right here in Greater Accra. It was becoming a problem. Is that any better now? Are people following the protocols better? Is that what is accounting for the lower numbers?
You see, in December, apart from the risk that we pose with Christmas and activities, the mask wearing has significantly declined. And we talked about it. We had dropped almost 7%. After we had peaked about 42% or 44% earlier, and intention to wear was about 85%. Now, after the surge, we also saw, and with the advocacy and communication and with the media coming in, the mask wearing rose up to about 52%. And that is when we started seeing the decline in the cases. And so currently, the mask wearing has gone up. I can see there's a little decline now because people are feeling a bit more comfortable, and that's why we need to continue encouraging people that clearly you will need to continue wearing your mask to any help. And we saw that when it went up, the cases started coming down. So it works, and so that is what has accounted for that. Of course, people started washing hands. We had reintroduced the shift systems in workplaces. And we believe that the private sector in their workplaces became a bit more vigilant in terms of separation and doing shifts. And so all those areas, and of course, we also had to put in further restrictions. The government had to come in with further restrictions in terms of reintroducing a ban on funerals and restricting the number of people in churches and other social gatherings, banning weddings, etc. Even though they were there, but it was reinforced. And so all those reduction in mass gathering and the mask wearing protocols has accounted for the reduction in the cases.
I want us to shift our attention now to vaccines, vaccination, and how far we've come. But even before we dig into it, on the back of what you just said, it brought to mind something. I see and hear some people also saying, oh, well, I've got the vaccine shot, so there's no need to use a mask. There's no need to do this. There's no need to do that. From where I sit, I know also that the second shot, your exposure is still more, and you would need the second shot to get as much protection as is possible and all of that. So this is the thinking of some ordinary Ghanaians. What would you say in reaction to that?
What we continue saying that even if you have had your second shot, please continue wearing your mask. No, none of the vaccine is 100% protective. And so what we are setting off is that it can protect you from severe disease, it can protect you from getting a critical disease, and most especially death. But that doesn't stop you from getting the virus and also transmitting it to somebody who may not be vaccinated. And so we want everybody to continue vaccinating. Remember that children under 18 and pregnant women, until we get the appropriate vaccine, will not be vaccinated, and they are not protected. And so we need to be able to protect them. And so all of us must be able to continue wearing our masks. And so it's very important people get a message that, yes, it prevents you from severe disease and death, but it may not prevent you from catching the virus until a significant number of people in this country, probably 75–80%, are vaccinated. Then we can study the virus and see what is the trend like, and then such a decision will be made. This is a new virus, and we continue to learn more about the virus. We have new variants that comes up and down, and so we still need to be on our guard, even with our vaccination.
How successful would you say vaccination drive has been thus far? We took stock of some 600,000 of them, and even the breakdown, some have said 600,000, but each one contains, is it 10 shots and all of that? So it's actually 6 million. No. What is the reality? This is something that I've heard even media people say. So what is the reality? Does 600,000 equal 600,000 individual shots? And how successful has the program been so far?
Yeah, in the last 1 week, we've done more than, probably we've done more than 300,000 plus since we started. And looking at the anticipated hesitancy, which we have not seen, a lot of people are very eager to have the vaccine. Even though, because of the segmentation, we are focused on a certain category of people who are taking the virus. And that's what I'm sure if we had opened it up to everybody, probably the vaccines would have been finished by now. And so that is what we are. I think the reaction of the people have been very good. We have had, the largest group has been the people over 60, as the elderly, followed by the health workers and those with comorbidity. And so it's in all the places that we are doing for now.
Is it a worry? Because I see some people who are not in the category supposed to be vaccinated, all of them trooping to centers. Is that a problem?
Well,
that
you see, we are talking about segmentation. The segment included people who are vulnerable, people who are at high risk, and that's why we also added media to it. That's why we added the security people to it, and that's why we added, policemen who are always in the streets, and so the judiciary, the state must run, and so some of the essential services, people who are managing our water, those who are managing our electricity, and so if you look at that number, you may think that they are not the vulnerable. So you have the vulnerable and the essential services, and that's how you see. So if we see you, then I'll say, it's a young man, why is he going to take? You are a media person, you are exposed to many people, you are running around talking to so many people, so we feel that you must also be protected. So that's the sense in the segmentation that was done.
Okay. At what point are we going to start using the Sputnik vaccine, for example? It's one of the two we've approved, AstraZeneca and Sputnik. At what point are we going to use it?
It's been registered. We have made orders. And as soon as the orders come in, we're expecting more from the COVAX facility. As soon as the orders arrive, we already have a small quantity here. As soon as the orders arrive, we will start using them because we are ready. People have been trained to use it. We're just waiting for the orders to arrive. As soon as they arrive, to be used.
So if it's part of COVAX, then that means it's free?
No, Sputnik is not part of COVAX, so we're buying.
Okay. All right.
The state is purchasing.
So we're purchasing it directly from Russia?
Because COVAX gives us 20% of our needs. And so 80% of the people, the government has to buy it. And that's what we are doing. So we secure that, and we're also doing bilateral. The government is doing the bilateral arrangement to ensure that they're able to get additional vaccines, including AstraZeneca and all of them, so that we can continue to vaccinate the people, because the COVAX vaccine will give us about 12 or so million doses.
The South African variant is the most difficult one to deal with currently, but it's also shown its own, should I say, weaknesses in fighting the coronavirus, at least the sort of variant we've seen come out of South Africa. And AstraZeneca is what we are bringing into Ghana now. Do you have any concerns? Has the health service any concerns with regard to if the South African variant becomes predominant? Do we even know which of the strains is dominant currently in Ghana?
The dominant variant is the UK variant now.
In Ghana?
In Ghana.
Currently?
The South African one is quite small.
Okay.
And even that, AstraZeneca has been found to be quite effective, even against the South African variant. And so,
from what I hear, severe cases, yes, but mild to moderate, the effectiveness can drop to below 10%. Is that not a concern? Because that's what we have now on a massive scale.
I think those were the earlier stages, but the strategic advisory group, having studied the going, felt that it's still quite safe enough for all. And like I'm saying, that all the viruses, if a vaccine protects you from severe disease, and I think that's what we're all afraid of. And so it's still good enough for that. But fortunately for us, the dominant strain is not a South African strain. And so for now, we are okay. And I believe that we are not just going to limit ourselves to AstraZeneca and others, because of the global push for every country wants vaccines. You need to have a mixture of everything. Sputnik, whatever, Moderna, anything you can get, you put in, and then you give it out until you cover all your people.
Okay. So in the next, let's say, 1 week, 1 month, what is the Ghana Health Service looking forward to doing as we keep up with the vaccination drive, as we keep pushing back against this virus?
We will continue vaccinating till about October. Our plan is that we are hoping that by October we would have vaccinated everybody. By June we would have vaccinated about 20 million of the population.
By June?
By June. And we are hoping that the inflows and all the arrangement that has been made comes true and the vaccines will come. And we are expecting that the next 2 or so months, more vaccines coming in from the COVAX facility, from the bilaterals, and then we'll continue vaccinating people until such time, just like other countries are doing, every Ghanaian is vaccinated. Hopefully that by June, July, we would have had a vaccine that is deemed safe for children under 18 and pregnant women. And by that way, we can now vaccinate practically everybody.
We're looking at COVID-19 a year on, March the 12th last year till now. And we've had our wins, losses, hits, misses. Yeah. What would you say are the core lessons we've learned from this pandemic as a health sector, a health system? What are the lessons that they take away?
One of the most important lessons is that this is an all-government approach, and everybody has a role to play. And this is not just a health matter, and that the media, the environment, people, finance, everybody has a role to play in our response. We've also learned that there are certain cultural practices that lead to some of these diseases. And if you have noticed that in the last few years, H1N1, Ebola, etc., they are all transmitted by close contact. And so there are lessons there that we can look at. How do we manage our space? How do you manage our offices in a way that even subsequently we do not get hit? How do we avoid congestion in areas? How do we create ventilation in our areas? And so these are all very important lessons that I believe that we should even go into our housing code so that subsequently we have a much freer environment to live in.
Okay, as we get ready to wrap up, Doc, yesterday we had the SONA, the President, His Excellency the President made mention of a number of things, but there was not any new intervention or program to aid in post-pandemic recovery, so to speak. Any concerns in there for you? What we have so far, are they enough to sustain us, not just on the health front, but whatever happens to our economy as well also impacts our fight against COVID-19? What do you think? What do you see?
Well, I don't know whether your statement about nothing new is, I share the same view, but I believe that there were many areas of trying to revamp the economy. There are many areas of building a resilient health system, and I believe that is what COVID has not still means that we need to continue building our system to treat. Our surveillance system has to be improved, and I think all those things are currently being catered for. That I believe that once we do it well, we should be okay.
Well, this might be something to rejoice about. At least we've known of it, and that's the very final bit. Agenda 111, and these 100-bed district hospitals in 100 plus 101 districts, and then we are looking at the recruitment of healthcare professionals and all of that. Welcome news.
Yes, I think it's a welcome news. Well, maybe one of the things that also COVID has shown us the fact how important the health sector is, and that good health has major impact on our economy, on everything that we do, and our social life. And so it's a welcome news that we are using this opportunity to also build capacity within the health sector, ability to respond and to treat people. And so we are very happy that the government has taken that initiative.
Okay. I would have you share a message with ordinary Ghanaians. A year down the line, we have come far, but there's still a lot more to be done. What would be your message as Director General of the Ghana Health Service to ordinary Ghanaians as we continue to battle this pandemic?
My message will be two. First is that people must see this vaccination as a civic responsibility, that you protect yourself and you protect your neighbor, and so everybody must get vaccinated. Secondly, the use of the protocol still remains very, very, very important, and we stick to the protocols, because apart from not getting COVID, there are other benefits of the protocol that have been introduced, and I think it is something that we need to apply, that so that we can save ourselves, save our loved ones, and then we can move on, get back to our normal life, and get to improve our social services as well.
Well, Doc, it's been insightful, it's been refreshing, sharing thoughts with you on COVID-19 a year down the line. And we're hoping that come next year by this time, we would have a much better story as well to tell. Not just Ghana, but across the world.
I believe that the vaccine should be the beginning of the end of the pandemic. And that's the hope we all have.
But still, a cure is being sought. And hopefully if we
Definitely,
get there,
nothing has
much
stopped.
better.
We are still, people are testing treatment options, etc. The flu came in 1918, it's still with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This has been our interaction with Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. He's been gracious enough to interact with us a year on after COVID first touched the shores of Ghana. The fight still continues. Continue to observe the protocols and do get vaccinated when it's your turn. Thank you for staying with us. And that has been our interaction with the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje. But there's more coming your way because Mama Owusu Abwaje has also been out and about. She has been looking at the Ghana Infectious Disease Center on its role in the fight. This 100-bed facility was put together by the private sector to enhance government's efforts in mitigating COVID-19 and its impact. Well, here we go with her interaction with staff of the GIDC.
A year ago today, in March 2020, Ghana recorded its first 2 cases of COVID-19. At the time, many of us were afraid. Afraid because even the rich and powerful nations, China, Italy, the US, the UK, were still struggling to understand this disease. And we knew then that if we started recording cases, it would just expose the challenges that we have in the health sector. Thankfully, a group of business associates forming the Ghana COVID-19 Private Sector Fund were also thinking about what they could do for the country. In the end, they settled on an infectious disease and isolation treatment center, and they had a record time of 6 weeks to complete it. Well, in the end, in collaboration with the Ghana Armed Forces, we had this infectious disease and isolation center still in a record time of 12 weeks. As a proud ambassador of the fund, going around and asking for monies from fellow Ghanaians with as little as 20 Ghana cedis to contribute to finishing the project, I have come back as we observe the 1-year anniversary to look at how this structure has helped in the fight against COVID-19.
From the dawning area, we proceed to go and do our work. So this is the patient area, and our doors are controlled so that you can regulate the flow. Okay. So once you enter in here, this is the patient area. The building is negative controlled, negative air pressure controlled, so that the air from the corridor does not mix with the air coming from inside, so that we are safe to walk around here. Okay.
I see that you have the fund team. They're almost always looking at you, but do you still get support from the fund after they put up the infrastructure?
I must say that they didn't just set it up. One thing we know is that they are setting up a maintenance fund to help us maintain the place. And when we had issues with oxygen, they were quite supportive in getting us oxygen. So they've been there from day one.
It's good you mention oxygen. How much of it do you use?
Our main drug here is oxygen, because people are on, let's say, 15 liters per minute per 24 hours. So in a day, just about 10 patients, we use close to 80 cylinders of oxygen a day. Yes.
Okay, just for the records, this was supposed to be a 100-bed facility. Is it still a 100-bed?
It's still a 100-bed facility. To make a facility functional, we needed to convert some of the beds into other things. So we can't say that we are running on, let's say, 80 beds at the moment.
Okay.
But we are not running the full 80 beds. Running the full 80 beds will mean you will need more oxygen. Running the full 80 beds will mean you need more staff. So we're currently doing just about 2/3 of our capacity.
Okay.
During our peak periods. I must say, currently, we are in our lean periods.
Okay.
Our numbers have dwindled drastically.
Okay.
Maybe we are waiting for the 3rd wave.
Well, hopefully we don't get there.
Hopefully.
We pray against anything like that.
I pray all of us will just stick to the protocols and we don't have to do a 3rd wave.
Yeah. But is this a referral center? How do you come here?
Okay, so once you are diagnosed with COVID, this is for managing severe and critical COVID. Once you do not have severe or critical COVID, you just can't walk in here. we need to know about who is coming, and we need to plan for that particular patient. So that if you get COVID and you just walk in here, you may be turned away. And somebody will say that's cruel. But we have a COVID OPD. So if you go to the COVID OPD and we see you and we think you are mild, we can follow you up from the house. If we think you need to be on admission, you are admitted. If you're coming from another facility, there's a system in place where patients are referred to the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Team, and then together we distribute the patients to available beds. When it has to do with severe and critical, apart from this center, Kolebu also helps, 37 also helps, Nyaho helps, and Ridge Hospital. So depending on where you have available and functional beds, we may move you there.
Okay.
This is the area where common area for all of us.
Okay.
So this is the nurses station, nurses and doctors station. To my left, you have the wards. So we say this is the severe area. To my right, there are wards, but this is for those who are recovering. Okay, and towards the east, we'll be moving towards the intensive care unit. This is the pictures of the project team. So we have a mix of architects, surveyors, doctors, biomedical scientists, photographers. These people made the funders brought the money, and these people made sure that it was a success. Okay, so this is the intensive care unit. The intensive care unit has 21 beds, 5 for critically ill patients and 16 for severe to critical ill patient. We say critical when the person is on the ventilator, and we say severe when the person is not yet on a ventilator but then needs a lot of oxygen.
Okay.
Okay.
So currently, do we have any?
So currently, there's 1 person on the ventilator and 2 who are having assisted ventilation. We call that CPAP. So currently we have 3 people in the intensive care unit, 1 on the ventilator, 2 assisted. The fund also put in place a recovery garden. So out here, the patients can come here and relax. Out here, the patients can have physiotherapy. I'm sure with time you may find some patients in the garden undergoing physiotherapy exercises as part of their recovery.
We saw the Most Reverend Palmer Backel do his short video from this garden.
Yes, so that is also helpful and helps with the recovery of our patients.
So you're not just in your room 24 hours?
No, we even have a corridor where relatives can come over and visit their patients who are here. We believe that as part of the healing process, where relatives can see their patients who are here, it encourages the patients and also encourages the relatives and demystifies the disease.
How has the experience been working in this facility?
Being here has been one of a million experiences that I've had. It's been worth it, I would say, because through this, I've gotten the opportunity to serve my country, to serve my people, and also to give off my best as I can, like I'm called to do as a nurse. It's been challenging, but it's been worth it.
What's been the most challenging of your experiences?
COVID-19 came in when we were not expecting it. So that meant we have to brace ourselves for whatever impact that it was going to have on us. At the same time, seeing people who came in because they thought they were coming for treatment and hoping to leave. But at the end of the day, we lost some due to the critical state at which they came with. It was heartbreaking because we were all hoping that at a point we will have the opportunity to save most of them.
So you lost some of your patients?
We did. Being an ICU, universally, we know it's a 50-50 chance. But here, by the grace of God, we've gone beyond that, though we lost a few. So I think all in all, like I said earlier, it's been challenging, but it's been worth it.
You've made friends as well?
I did, a lot, yes. I had the opportunity to meet some of the honorables, some of the big people in town, and through that we've established contact and made friendships. So I think this not only for GIDC, but it will go a lifetime. Yeah. Yes.
Well, you're very generous, because when you come to the hospital, it really doesn't matter who you are. You are nobody, really. I also want to talk to you about your experience. You oversee the original GA East and this facility.
Yeah.
I have heard that a lot of the nurses want to work here.
It's true. You know, when you look at the structure, you know, working here is, they feel very comfortable. Even the environment alone gives you some sort of comfort. So at least everybody would like to work here, yes. Because, you know, some of the gadgets, they do not have some of the gadgets that they have here. They don't have them over there, especially the monitors. You know, the monitors help a lot. For instance, you may not, and then even with the control room, you may not be there with the patient, but with the monitors and then the cameras in the CCTVs in the various walls gives some sort of relief. So it's like all the time the nurses are watching, both the nurses and the doctors, they are watching the patients, their movement, whatever they want, and then they go in. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. How many nurses do you have under your control?
Currently, I have 175 nurses and midwives. Okay, in addition to about 30 CCNs.
Intensive care nurses.
Critical care nurses.
Critical care, okay.
Yes, but that is still not enough. We need more nurses and more doctors.
So when this place gets really busy, are you able to use all your nurses, your critical care nurses as well?
Oh, sure. We are using them. They are doing a wonderful job. They are working hard. But we will need more. Yes, we will need more.
Okay. Yes. Let me just ask Cecilia, how is your shift like? What's the craziest shift you've run on since we started recording COVID cases?
I think from the beginning to as we speak, it's been a daily dose of getting more hectic and getting more busy. I remember last week, the day team had to leave here as late as 10:30 p.m. We came in 8 a.m., we had to go 10:30 because our patient in the ICU, some were not doing well at all. Having to intubate, going in, inotropic support, sedation, it was crazy. Doing invasive procedures and all that, we really had a hard time on our hands. But at the end of the day, that patient that looked as if we're going to lose any moment is quite stable, though we're still on the life support. It's quite stable, and we are hoping as the days go by, he will get much better.
Okay. Let me just finally end with you, Auntie Mavis. Have you had some of your nurses get COVID-19 because they've been here and they've been working?
Yes. Some of them got infected. Yes. But they have recovered. Okay. Yes.
So you haven't lost anybody?
No, so far, we haven't lost any health worker working here. Right. But some got infected, all right, and then they have recovered and they are back with us.
Okay. But I also see that now we're all comfortable because initially, I guess, the fear of the disease, but now we are more in charge and we know how to handle it.
Exactly. Because now, you know, they've been trained on how to put on the PPEs, that is donning, and then how to remove, that's doffing. They've been trained properly on that, and then they are being trained day in and day out on IPC, that's infection prevention and control. So I can say that they are in control now. Yes.
Well, we thank you for doing the work that you do as we observe the 1-year anniversary. We wish you well, and we thank you for choosing to do this work. Without you, we will be nothing really. So thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you so much for the wonderful work you people are doing.
You are appropriately clothed. So you see most of the people out here are just wearing their scraps and their N95s on because they haven't gone into the patient rooms. If you have to go into a patient room, then you will change whatever you are wearing.
Okay.
So before the patients are also discharged, they come here, the doctors, the nurses speak to them, tell them what to do when they go home, tell them about the medication they are discharged home on, then give them a form we call the discharge form, has instructions on it and what they need to do just before they come back for a review.
Okay.
So once a patient is done, the exit is through another door. So currently we are walking in the corridor where everybody can walk, patients and doctors, nurses alike.
Okay.
So we are exiting the building. Okay. The exit is also controlled so that you can't come in from another side.
Okay.
So the flow, there is a flow within the building such that you don't mix dirty with clean. So once the patient is going out, we say that the patient is very contaminated because the patient has been in the dirty area.
Okay.
So you can see that there are markings on the floor that direct us as to where we need to walk. So the points to what we call the dolphin area. Remember I said donning. Donning is where you wear your clothes. Dolphin is where you take off your clothes. So this whole corridor is considered a contaminated corridor.
Okay.
So the patients will come in. If you're coming from the ICU, you will use this exit.
Okay.
If you're coming from the severe area, you use that exit. And then we all go to this room. So we're currently going out of the building. So exit to the outside.
Okay.
Your vehicle will be here.
Okay.
Whilst out here, the hygienist will then decontaminate
Oh,
you.
okay.
So your things, your luggage, your belongings will be decontaminated and put in the car.
Okay.
And for the patient, we usually wash your hands and your feet are decontaminated. Then you can sit in your car and go.
Okay.
Most of the time when the workers or the doctors and nurses have finished, their healthcare workers have finished their work, they come out here and then they go through what we call the doffing off process. So this is the doffing off area. So first, if you are wearing boots, so you step into the chlorine.
Okay.
To decontaminate your boots. Then you go to this particular station where you go through the process of decontamination. There's somebody here always to take you through.
Okay.
Once you are done, you step over these trucks. The owners are all inside. With time they'll come out and then they'll decontaminate. You wash your hands and then you exit.
Oh, okay. Okay. I have to ask because you used intensive care or severe cases in ICU. What's the difference?
Okay, so ICU is anybody who needs assisted help to breathe. So either you're on a ventilator or you're on a machine that helps or augments your breathing. Yes, we can put you on oxygen, but then you need assisted forms so that we can increase your oxygen capacity. Those are the ones we put in the ICU, intensive care unit. Okay. I used intensive care unit and high dependency unit. Most of the cases in the high dependency unit and in the ICU are all critical cases.
Okay. All right. So this is also a place that not only the GIDC uses, but the original GAISTs.
The original GAIST has other places where they decontaminate. The GIDC kindly uses this place.
Okay. All right.
Guys has been very generous by giving us some portion of their land so that we can also help fight. Remember, we still managing COVID together. They manage a lot of the moderate cases, and then the severe and critical cases are managed in the GIDC.
Okay.
So I want to take you to the post-COVID clinic.
Okay.
So we've gone through somebody who had come in, has been admitted, successfully discharged, has been decontaminated, has gone home. Is that the end of the story? No. For everybody who is discharged, we ask you to come back in a week to see how you are doing. And that's a review. We have noticed, and I'm sure you've all read, that people speak about post-COVID. And post-COVID is anybody beyond 28 days after recovery, you still have symptoms of COVID. So we call that long COVID or the post-COVID syndrome. Because of this, we have a post-COVID clinic where our patients will come in and they are seen. We started this in June last year. So we've had people in the clinic for almost 6 months. We intend to follow up our patients for close to 6 months before we formally discharge them.
Okay.
That tells us or gives us an idea as to the effects of COVID on the body. Because remember, we don't know everything about COVID.
Sure.
So maybe let's pass through the post-COVID
Okay.
clinic. I spoke earlier about the oxygen plant.
Yes.
That, together with the Ghana Health Service and the fund, was given to us. So a Ghanaian company, Rick Air, put up this plant for us, and that has been augmenting our oxygen supply.
Okay.
So for currently we do not have issues with oxygen, but the amount of oxygen that the plant can supply means that we can only do, let's say, about 25 severe and critical cases at any particular point in time. That is why the capacity of 100 bed is limited.
Okay.
Not because we do not have beds, but you do not have functional beds.
Okay.
You know, COVID, most facilities are built with oxygen supply systems looking at just about up to about 10 liters, 1/3. But in COVID, almost every patient is using about 3 times that amount of oxygen. And so there's no ready supply of systems that can produce the type of oxygen that we need for COVID.
Okay.
So even though we had a 100-bed facility built, you cannot run the place with severe and critical patients, 100 at the same time.
Okay.
It will collapse. You won't have oxygen for them.
Sure.
So most of your patients will die.
Okay.
So we are being a little pragmatic in reducing the number of patients we see at any particular point in time so that our mortality will go down and our success stories will be higher.
Okay, great. But does this facility take a lot more severe COVID patients than any of the others that you mentioned?
Currently, we have 21 beds and another 20 beds. So we can do about 40 severely ill patients at any particular point in time.
Okay.
I must say that other facilities like Rage Hospital has taken a lot of the cases off us, but we still tend to move them around. Nyaho has also been very helpful in this regard.
Okay.
At the height of the pandemic, let's say in the second wave in February, then we had a lot of cases. Now the cases have died down significantly. We've been in operation since the 12th of January, and I must say that over the period we've seen close to 112 cases already.
12th of January 2021?
2021 till now, we've seen a total of about 112 cases. Fortunately, we've lost about 10 over the period. But then we feel that our successes are what tells the story.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Some of the cases we couldn't do much about. Others also from more of post-COVID complications. Yeah.
What do you think would have happened if we didn't have this facility?
Sometimes I don't want to think about it because then it means that our mortality rates or avoidable deaths would have gone high. There'll be too much stress on Kolebu Ridge wouldn't have been able to help because they wouldn't have beds. 37 was helping, but then they will be overstretched. Nyaho will struggle more than is struggling now. So this facility came in to more or less help calm the waters. And I must say that even with this facility, we're still stretched. So if it hadn't been here, we would have had a horrible story.
Yeah. I have to ask about the generators though. How often do you use them?
So the generators come on when our lights go off. I must say that over the last week, is it Doomsaw? We can't say whether it's Doomsaw or whatever it is.
We know that Gridco, for instance, had a major issue.
Yeah, and the generators have come in handy. And I must say that we're just running out of fuel because it's been used more than we're expected to use it. The generator powers both the building and the oxygen plant.
Tell me you don't pay electricity bills, do you?
Nobody has sent us a bill yet, but I'm sure we will pay.
Thank God, because that's also one of the, we're advocating that nobody brings you the bill.
Maybe we need to speak more. So we're going towards the post-COVID clinic.
Okay.
In the GIDC, currently we have close to 20 doctors.
Okay.
At any particular point in time, there are 6 doctors on duty.
Is that enough?
For the number of patients we have and the work we do, it's enough for now.
Okay.
If the numbers increase, we'll certainly need more.
Okay.
So for the ICU always has 2 doctors and a consultant on duty. Okay. The main ward also has 2 doctors and a consultant on duty. So at any point in time, there are 6 people you can consult.
And you're doing 24 hours?
And they're doing 24 hours.
Okay, great.
And we do 12 hours during the day, 12 hours at night. So we think it's balanced. So during the day, there are 3 doctors. During the night, there are 3 doctors.
Okay. Did you have COVID disturbing you in terms of some of your team members getting infected?
Yeah, some of my doctors became infected. Some of my nurses were infected. Some of my lab staff were also infected. Some of my orderlies, those who clean the place, also got infected. So every healthcare worker, every cadre has been affected by COVID.
But thankfully, you haven't lost any person.
No, we haven't lost any. But I must say, there's one thing recovering fully from COVID. Some are still battling with the post-COVID complications. Yes, we didn't lose them, but they still have post-COVID complications.
Tell us about the experience working in the post-COVID clinic.
So first of all, post-COVID, just as the name indicates, is after you get in coronavirus, the cases that come after coronavirus. So people get coronavirus and then they get healed, they test negative, but then some of them end up with certain physical conditions that will seek or will need attention. So majority of the time we end up with people with pulmonary conditions, and currently we've discovered that people are discovering and getting kidney conditions as well in terms of getting COVID. Even young people who don't have certain conditions are now developing certain conditions such as hypertension, diabetes, not because maybe they inherited it from their family or because of their lifestyle, but because they had coronavirus. So these are some of the cases that we are dealing with currently.
Okay. So what typically happens? What do you do to such persons?
So we let them see a doctor, and then depending on their field of specialty, we'll transfer them to the place they are supposed to go. So somebody with a pulmonary condition sees a pulmonologist. And one thing we've also realized after COVID is we have a lot of people with psychological issues. People are developing depression, anxiety, post-COVID. So that's why we let you see a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist, depending on the symptoms you are presenting with. And kidney, and we all transfer you to specialists. Some are Kolebu, some are Ridge Hospital. So that's what we do, yeah.
All right, so typically how many people do you see coming to the post clinic?
In a day, we are seeing an average of between 20 to 22 cases in a day, yes. So that's the cases we are seeing currently, because I'm sure people from this facility who got COVID come here for post-COVID treatments, and others from other facilities also sometimes come here for post-COVID. that's what we do, yeah.
So this one is a bit more personal. How do you enjoy working in this facility?
It's surprising. I'm a nurse, so it's more or less like it's a call to duty. You're supposed to be here to work, irrespective of the conditions that you face. And Guy's Municipal, the nurses and the doctors and the medical team, it hasn't been easy, but it's more or less like they are dedicated to the work. So we've been putting our best and trying to do our best. I'm sure some people have good experiences with us, others don't. But whatever be the experience, bear in mind that we are dealing with a condition that is new. Most of us we've not even heard of it. It just came last year. Was it 2019? Yes. So we are still trying.
We started recording our cases in March.
In March, yes. So it's new and it is scary. And we've had losses. We've also had success stories. And with this place, we are mostly dealing with the success stories. So it's more or less like a needle in a haystack, but we are just trying to survive. And we are hoping for the best now that the vaccines are in the country. So that's what we are looking forward to.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you very much.
Do some of your colleagues envy the fact that you're working in GIDC?
Oh, trust me, I tell you, there's so many people who don't even want to be in this environment.
Oh, for real?
No, I mean, it's COVID. And so, you know, the perception and the stigma, that's why I'm saying that the medical and the nursing team currently on the ground have done excellently well, yes.
Absolutely.
It's not easy working in an infectious environment, so that's it.
Okay, Dr. Kome, we're coming to the end of our tour, but I see that you also have a very cute ambulance.
Yes, it's donated by the fund.
How useful has this been?
We've used it once or twice, just for internal purposes. Externally, we haven't moved any patient anywhere. If we have to do anything, National Ambulance does that for us.
Okay.
In terms of maybe getting the patient to go and do a CT scan in UGMC, the National Ambulance will call to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. So, do you need an ambulance?
We need an ambulance, a bigger ambulance. This might suffice for most of the young children, but we haven't had any difficulty with any young child at the moment.
Okay.
But then for the adults, we think that we need a bigger ambulance.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, I want for you to give a few tips for people who are preparing to take their jabs. Those who have taken the vaccines have reported of fever in some cases. People have been restless, headaches, and that would scare some other people. But what do you have to say to persons?
I must say that as part of the vaccination drive, we told people that there are some side effects you expect. And these side effects are normal and generalized to any new thing you're introducing into your body. Let me start by saying that once you put in a vaccine, you are telling your body to react as an inflammation. With inflammation, the key responses to an active inflammation is a fever. So you have a high temperature. You have the place becoming red. You have the place swelling up. So all these things people are experiencing, it's just because they have introduced something new and the inflammatory process is ongoing. So how do you deal with the inflammatory process? You can't stop the inflammatory process. You can minimize the untoward effects of the inflammatory process. So if you take a jab with inflammation, you may get fever. So you can take paracetamol, let's say 2 hours before you take your jab, so that by the time the effects of the jab starts, you already have a baseline. So you may get a fever, but instead of recording 40, you may be recording 37.8. Okay. And that is not a great fever. So you can take your painkillers or your paracetamol 2 hours before the jab, and that helps minimize it. And some people just take the paracetamol before, and that is a no. For over the next 48 hours, usually paracetamol is taken every 8 hours, or for some people every 6 hours. Do that over the next 48 hours, and you may go through without any symptoms.
Okay.
Having said that, we all may react differently. If you feel that this reaction is too uncomfortable, please go to the nearest hospital. Let them know I took a jab and this is how I'm feeling, and then you will be sorted out. If you feel you can, as a diarrhea, take ORS. 2, 3, 4 times ORS will do. If you are doing more than 5 times, go to a hospital so that maybe, apart from rehydrating, you may be given a drip just to keep you strong. If for any reason you start behaving abnormally following the jab, your relations should move you quickly to the nearest hospital. Okay. So yes, we may experience, we may not experience. I personally had headaches and a fever, even though I took my paracetamol and took it religiously. I'm sure if I hadn't taken anything at all, mine would have been very severe. But because I had a grounding or a baseline, I was fine.
Okay.
And I've advised that everybody should go out for the vaccine. If we have the critical mass vaccinated, maybe soon we shall have to take off this thing, and I can see your face, and then you can see my face when we have interviews.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, Doc, thank you so much, but I can't end this without asking your personal experience working in this facility.
Well, Mama V, my whole life, growing maybe over the last 6, 7 years, I trained to be an infectious disease specialist. So COVID, Ebola for me means that I have work to do. If it has to do with heart, I'm sure Professor Frimpong Martin has work to do, and I'll be relaxing. So once we have a pandemic, it's time to work. And I've been giving my all for this because this is my time to work. After the pandemic, others will be working. I may be resting. Maybe you hear that I've gone on a 2-year vacation because I believe that over the last year, I have worked enough so I can take a 2-year vacation. So for me, this is what I have been training for. And this is what I am doing. It's like a soldier who prepares for war. And there's war. And the soldier says, why is there a war? You prepared for a war. So
you say bring it on.
Bring it on, and we shall do that way.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, so you're an infectious disease specialist, but we didn't have an infectious disease center.
Yes, so for me, this is great joy. I used to work in Kolebu, moved on to Lekma Hospital, and once this place was built, I was asked to move here. I said, good. It's an opportunity for me to practice. Today is for COVID, but because it's an infectious disease center, I know that very soon, if there are other pandemics, Ebola will bring it here, yours will bring it here. It might make me practice better infectious disease, and I'm happy about it. And I really want to thank the people of Ghana, because through the private sector fund, they donated money, and we want to assure them that their investment will be looked after well, because that is the key thing. I also want to encourage those of my friends in Kumasi, when the private sector fund comes over to Kumasi people, I know how you do it. Give them the money so that they can build a center like this in Kumasi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. The story of Ghana's first infectious disease center is not complete without those who first came together to have that dream. And that's why I have come to speak to a co-chair of the Ghana COVID-19 Trust Fund, Dr. Oting Jesse. Thank you, sir. So we've taken a look at the Infectious Disease Center, the very first of its kind that we have in Ghana, thanks to the fund. I want to ask what you make of how it is being used today.
In one word, I would say that it has been a godsend. Because if we look at the fact that towards the end of last year, the pandemic seemed to be slowing down, and we were all thankfully happy that we may never need it as much as we thought we would. Then all of a sudden, the second wave struck, and it became imperative and became urgently required. And I think that from all the information and the news we get, it has really been a godsend.
Are you still involved in the facility?
Involved, not in the running of the facility. We handed it over to government, the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, I suppose. But we, from time to time, if there are any difficulties or requirements, especially consumables, the fund is always ready and willing to assist.
A little bird told me this morning that you're also considering setting up a management fund.
Yes, we are considering looking at a way in which we not only make it sustainable, as it were, but also make it sustainable in its most effective way. And we think that it would be useful if we could get donors together and set up a fund which will go along to help from time to time. So whether the trustees are there or not, it means that it will still work well. Of course, there is one difficulty, and that's the difficulty of when you start singling out areas like that, then what happens to the wider health service, the wider number of people who are providing important services in COVID. So it's a dilemma we have to face. And at the same time, I don't think it should stop us from doing what we can in order to keep this initiative going.
Big question, when are we seeing the fund go to the other regions?
Yes, the original plan was from Accra to go to Kumasi, and then the northern region and the western region, not necessarily in that order. But Kumasi was set to be the next one. And I think that discussion is going on. We would dearly love to do one in Kumasi, because I think that the second half of this country needs an infectious diseases center of that kind. And maybe even it can be bigger or better. I mean, the experiences we have learned from this one could very usefully be put in the next one.
So just finally, when you look back, and this is a personal question, do you feel proud of yourself that you were part of this project from the beginning, or what's the feeling like?
I am thankful to God, I mean, to be sincere, that a group of us got together and had the brain wave to do this. I mean, and I keep wondering that what is it which got into us, because in the beginning, we just thought that if we put in 100,000 cedis each year, we have done, but the ambition to do something even more permanent, I think must have only been God-inspired. And so, yes, I'm glad, I will say, but I'm very thankful to God that we've done this.
Well, we thank you for starting this.
Warm welcome back on the AM show on the back of that interaction at the Infectious Disease Center. Very interesting things coming up.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
And getting a full view of what they've been going through these last, or should I say, over the past year.
Yeah, absolutely. And the issue about the post-COVID clinic, I think some of the things that were said there, we probably will have to keep talking about it, because you may test negative, but you may also be experiencing some complications. And so you see that the clinic is rather very busy. At least 20 people pass through every day.
And I totally wasn't surprised, because if you've been there and done that, you know that, and that's one thing we've been reinforcing in people's minds. You don't want to get it because even after you are done with it, you even test negative for it. It's left your system. It's not left your system, so to speak. It's done a whole lot of things that you're now going to have to deal with in the ensuing months. And for some people, it's much more complicated. The complications of COVID have been very severe for some.
Absolutely. One of the things that we couldn't get onto camera was the fact that somebody died out of depression simply because he couldn't deal with the fact that he had done everything and he still got COVID. So he kept asking himself, how did it happen? How? You know, and it's just taught me a lesson. We've discussed this on the show before. Yeah. Once you get it, forget about what you did wrong or who may have given it to you. Deal with the fact that you need to get better.
You remember when we had this interaction with the Public Affairs Director of the University of Health and Allied Sciences,
yes.
Maria Adjura. And if you watched that video we started with, which you saw, she starts with her frustration because she, you know, describes herself as a COVID police. She's part of the task force in the university, so she was observing all the protocols, whipping people in line, and she got it.
Yeah.
You know, and it can be depressing. Yesterday when I spoke with Dr. Kumabwaje, he said that, well, fortunately, I mean, I put it out there that I have got it before, and I think the more we destigmatize COVID, the better. And I asked him whether he had got it. He said, fortunately, up to this point, he had not got it, but he knew people who had got it, people who had even observed all the protocols, everything from A to Z, and still got it.
Yeah.
So it's a reality we have to deal with. And something else, Mama, that keeps coming up. People have been thinking, oh, something else I discussed with Doc. I am observing all the protocols. Well, I've taken the vaccine. So the protocols, you know, right now, we need to reinforce in people's minds the vaccines are not 100%. So let's all stay very cautious.
Absolutely.
But I felt for some of the people you interacted with, you know, the hours they are doing, the exposure and all of that. We really need to, I think our healthcare professionals deserve what they are getting.
Yeah.
But interestingly, just to add this, you know, I always thought that, well, frontline, it is static. These are the people on the front line. Yesterday, Dr. Kumabwaje was indicating that it's actually fluctuating and that this month you have someone recognized as a frontline worker getting the insurance benefits and the 50% plus. Next month, the person is not there. It's changed. So those dynamics, very, very important.
Sure. Well, still on the things that COVID has, taught us, and some people using their corporate social responsibility to also give back. So if you had my conversation with Dr. Comey, he did disclose that most of the severe cases, all of them really get onto the oxygen. And here is a company that's given out oxygen for free. They actually started this in March 2020, and they're going all the way until we've defeated COVID-19. Here's that. In fact, its provision is a critical component of respiratory resuscitation around the world. And in the fight against COVID-19, those with moderate and severe infection may require oxygen at various levels. In fact, the recovery of critically ill patients with COVID-19 will require oxygen. And that's why I found it rather very fascinating when I came across a company here in Ghana that's actually giving out oxygen absolutely for free since March last year, March 2020, when we first recorded our COVID cases. So I've come to meet with the managing director of the company, B5, to have a conversation, Mr. Mike.
Hello.
How do I pronounce your surname?
Takwani.
Okay, so just Mike Takwani?
Yes, you can just call me Mike as well.
All right. Thank you very much for receiving us.
You're welcome.
So can you tell me a bit about your company, B5?
B5 Plus is a steel manufacturing and trading company. We are one of the biggest manufacturing and trading activity in the whole West Africa. When we started just 2 decades back, we used to import from small countries like our neighbors, Togo and Ivory Coast. Today we are very proud to say that B5 Plus is a net exporter of all steel products to whole West Africa. So today we are not able to only supply in whole Ghana, but also to the whole West African market.
Great.
So the dream of Made in Ghana, we have really made it dream come true.
Nice.
Today we are very proud to say under 1D1F, under His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, we have been able to put up the biggest prefabrication plant and prefabrication engineering plant. That is, we are able to make all type of tankers, warehouses, anything you name it related to the fabrication, we are able to make it right here in Ghana. So that is one of the biggest achievement which BFAP Plus has achieved in the last 3 years. Another thing is that we also started the melting plant. That is one of the biggest also in West Africa.
May I say congratulations, because I see so many awards in your office.
Yeah.
And you've been here for 2 decades, you say?
No, the company has been here for 2 decades. I've been here for 3 decades.
Wow, that's even more incredible. So first of all, tell me about how you got into the production of oxygen.
We are into the smelting of steel products, and that is how we have to produce oxygen for the supply of to our plant. It is required to make our plant run more efficiently and more cost competitive. So that is why we produce oxygen ourselves, and at the same time we also sell the oxygen to reduce our cost. During the COVID time, when COVID hit us in March, the company realized that oxygen is one of the important components. We have been hearing this from that time. Luckily, Ghana was not affected, but we saw that it was coming to Ghana. So company decided that as a CSR responsibility, we'll be giving free oxygen to all government and private hospitals throughout Ghana. And since then, March 2020, we have been giving the free oxygen till date, and we are very proud to say that more than 5,000 oxygen cylinders have been already given out. I think much more than that now. So to the whole, all the hospitals in Ghana, all different hospitals coming from different regions, they are coming, and we are giving this service 24 hours. So you can come anytime, any time of the day, just bring your empty cylinders and they will be filled right away. Beside that, BFAP Plus was also able to give away 10,000 food packets into the community, which was consisting of rice, sugar, oil, soap, toiletries and other things. The 1 month package foods, they were distributed to the local community here, so that the people who were in the COVID times, having a difficult times, who lost the jobs, they were able to sustain it during that difficult time.
How much profit would you have made on these over 5,000 that you've given out?
5,000 plus, and I think we would have made $1 million plus Ghana City profits. That would be the sales of it.
So, for instance, I know that you're supplying free to Kolibu Teaching Hospital.
Yes.
And you've been doing this since
March
2020.
So it is various hospitals are coming. You can come in anytime. Anytime you just come in for any amount of oxygen, and we'll be there to serve you free.
How often do they come for it?
It depends on the size of the hospital, how many cylinders do have. Some people, they even bring 5 cylinders, some people bring 50 cylinders, some people even bring 200 cylinders at a go.
Okay.
So we just do it as and when they bring it, the amount of cylinders.
How long does it take for you to fill the cylinders for them?
It just takes a couple of minutes if it is just few cylinders. If they are many, they are in the hundreds, it just takes 3-4 hours.
Have you reflected on how this is saving lives? Yeah. Has it occurred to you that you're actually saving lives and not just giving out free oxygen?
I think our main motto was that to serve the society. This is a time when the corporates, they should take up the responsibility to serve the society in this difficult time, So it was more essential because we realized, like if I talk one of the Kolibu times, I received a distress call around middle of the late evening, around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and they wanted the oxygen at that moment. I have received this call sometimes. The people who know me directly, they will call me. So sometimes some people have called in the middle of the night that they want the oxygen, and we just tell them, please go to our factory and bring your empty cylinders and we'll fill it out for you. So I think it is very important that during this time, when the times are really difficult, the corporates, they come out and they try to help the society in a maximum way possible. So we were knowing that if the cost of oxygen was really going high, we learned that some people were even selling the oxygen cylinder more than 100 Ghana Cedi per cylinder. So it became very important that we try to contribute whatever we can from our side, making it free oxygen, so that the people who are receiving the medication, not only they are receiving the oxygen on time, but at the same time they are receiving, as oxygen is received free by the hospital, they will not increase their charges to the patients.
So in all, how many hospitals are you serving?
We have, as of, I don't have data up to date, but before we checked, more than 50 hospitals, they have already collected the free oxygen. More than 50 hospitals.
And how long do you intend giving out free oxygen?
We are going to fight this free oxygen till we are able to put the COVID behind. We can just say that we have taken a mandate from the board. We are going to fight this COVID together with Ghana government. I must say that Ghana government has really done very well under the Ministry of Health, making sure that Ghana, compared to other countries, I think we are in a much safer zone, and with this vaccine coming on time, I think it is really, we have done well. So rest assured that BFA Plus is going to be the part of this free oxygen service along with the Ministry of Health till we are able to put the COVID behind.
I'm sure you're aware that after this conversation that I'm having with you and after we broadcast it, a lot more hospitals will probably be giving you a phone call. Are you ready to take on more hospitals?
Surely, we are ready to take it. If you see that, rather we went ahead and put up an advert even into the newspaper, even into the radios, that we are giving a free oxygen, please come and collect it, For us, the motto is very clear that we want to serve, this is the time to give back to the society, and we don't want to hesitate in it. So that is why BFA Plus is always there to give back to the society into the multiple folds. And I think when the things are tough, that is the right time to give back to the society,
And how much is this costing you? We've talked about how much profit you would have made if you were selling all this oxygen that you've given out for free. But how much is it costing
it will be more than
producing?
Ghana city, more than 1 million plus Ghana cities. And I'll put it that way that BFA Plus not only did that one, we also went and supported many organizations like AGI, Association of Ghana Industries, plus Karaoke Foundation, who were looking after the street children, and President COVID Fund, and many more, wherever we were approached and where we could assist. And within our community, our workers, we gave them, everyone, the food basket for 1 month to all the workers as well. So whatever little we could do. And the most important thing is, during this time, BFA Plus didn't fire any of the workers. Rather, we hired the workers, making sure that we created the jobs. Like we have a lot of land block available. So we went ahead and give them the fence wall contracts and other things, so that at least we are able to sustain during these difficult times and making the lives easier most possible.
What's your workforce? How many people are you employing?
Today, BFA Plus employs directly, indirectly 15,000 plus people.
And you didn't let any one of them go home?
No, not anyone we allow them to let go home. We make sure that we made a payment to everyone on time as well, the most importantly.
Tell us a bit about your factory, because you mentioned the one district, one factory. So what kind of collaboration is going on there?
Under our dear President, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, we are one of the biggest investors in the 1D1F, and we are very proud to say that today the fabrication products, prefabrication products which were imported from other countries, today within 2 years, BFA Plus is not only the biggest producer of prefabrication in the whole West Africa, but not only producing for Ghana, but we are also able to export to the whole West African market. Today we are very proud to say that we are already exported to 5 West African countries, and we are receiving many more orders. So we'll take up this opportunity to request government, Ministry of Trade and His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo to please look into it. The products which we are able to produce right here in Ghana, made in Ghana products, we should put an immediate ban on importation of those goods coming from different countries, so that we are able to create more and more employment. Today we are very proud to say in the first phase alone, BFA Plus is able to save $100 million worth of foreign exchange revenue and able to create 5,000 direct indirect jobs. So I think that is a very big number. And at the same time, as we are moving into the 1D1F, we are having a lot of challenges related to the electricity, water, and the land reforms. If we are able to bring in the land reforms, I am sure that we will be able to move forward more positively. Today, BFA Plus paid for the same land 2 times, So if we are able to bring more better land reforms, there will be more investments into the country. And I would like to add on that the people who are already entrepreneurs, who are already the captains of industries, who are already in Ghana, who are doing so much, who believe in Ghana already, I think they problems should be listened, and if you are able to solve their problems, I think that once we are the one who already believe, we are ready to do more and more investment for our mother Ghana.
As you're producing made in Ghana goods, some people have said that it is more expensive, the things that we produce in Ghana. What's your experience with that?
No, it is not like that. I can tell you that BFA Plus produce the goods, all the goods which we produce in Ghana, they are much cheaper compared to what you bring in the goods and paying the correct duties. Where the problem is that people are taking the exemptions, and those exemptions, they are not used for the particular projects, and instead of that, they are sold goods into the market. So I can give you 100% assurance that today the goods which are produced in Ghana, they are not only the high quality produced goods, but at the same time they are competitive and up to the mark.
Just finally, and I'm curious, did you have a personal COVID story? Did you have anybody in the family? Because I'm still thinking about how you got to the point where you said, you know what, let's give oxygen for free to those hospitals. Was there a personal experience somewhere?
Madam, I would like to put it that we started this one since March 2020. By God's grace, there was no COVID signals much in Ghana that time, but we've been hearing the stories outside. So it was nothing personal as such, you know. But at the later stage, like beginning of this year, we saw that more of our workers and people, they got COVID of it. But touch wood, we are blessed that we started this exercise even 1 year before, and we continue. I think it was purely CSR part of it, and we felt that it is a time requirement, and we went in and did it.
Well, thank you very much for what you're doing. You know, because we've also heard about stories where people in critical condition would need oxygen, ventilators, and so it's absolutely fascinating that you're doing this for free. And I guess more importantly, you're committed to fighting this, which means continue giving it until we fought this fight and we've won. True. So thank you. That's why we visited you today to hear
Thank you very much.
this story.
I highly appreciate because your message will go to the more hospitals, and more hospitals will benefit from this one.
Do you have capacity?
We have capacity, madam.
Okay.
Rest assured.
Yeah.
It's been a year
We are
already.
surviving it. We've survived it through 2020 March. We are surviving. We celebrate all the heroes today. We've all been fantastic in this fight.
We have, and let me just say that we're celebrating ourselves as well, because the dissemination of information has basically been the media across the world. We've been on the front line too, risking our necks to ensure that you get informed. So I guess we should celebrate ourselves too.
Absolutely.
Like this.
Listen, our hashtag is covered a year on. If you've got a message, kindly send it and let everybody hear it. Throughout the day, in the course of all our programming, you will continue to hear COVID stories.
This is COVID Day.
Yes, we tell the story a year on. Thank you for watching our show today. We will be back. It's not Friday, is it? No.
It isn't. It feels like a Friday, but it isn't. Well, do stay with us for the rest of our programming.
Absolutely.
And enjoy the rest of that song.
Thanks to the entire production team. We will see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye for now.